Good morning. So before anything else, I definitely want to thank everyone, my daughter Alicia, Lou, for challenging with that song. Of course, Sherry Kim facilitating. Each person here is an integral part of our service, and even you guys for just showing up. I truly appreciate you. Today's talk is entitled, Everyone Needs a Bridge. And the song that Lou just sang, as we all know, because I heard a bunch of people singing, Bridge Over Troubled Waters. And we know as we go through this thing we call life, there are experiences that cause our flow to go turbulent, or cause us to perceive challenges and know that we have troubled waters. And it's those points that we begin to look for these bridges, or we look for a reason to find something to bring us over. I don't know if anybody's ever gone rafting or canoeing. I took the Delaware in a canoe down the rapids. And I could tell you a few times we had to get out and walk that canoe because the waters or the rapids were a little bit too much. So we look for that safety net. And what we do miss out sometimes is how those bridges come into our lives. And in many cases, those bridges do not show up as we think they do. Sometimes it's a small voice or intuition. I was shared this story. For those of you who know the artist Meatloaf, he was asked one time, what was the greatest moment in his musical career? He said, that's easy. I was at a CD signing, and usually it runs about 2 hours. And for whatever reason, that one day he told his handler, no, I can't leave. Line is still around the block, people still coming in. After hours of sitting there, he finally saw a couple at the end of the line. He looked at that couple, and it was a young man with a woman crying on his shoulders. He said, that's why I had to wait. When that couple finally got up to the table, the husband tells him, I'm not here for an autograph. I'm here to thank you and to share. See, for my wife was going through many things, and she decided that she needed a small vacation. So she rented a local hotel room. But what many people didn't know was when she got there, she turned on the radio, she removed the gun from her purse and placed it in her mouth. And at that moment on the radio, she heard the song, Heaven Can Wait. And she knew that that was not her time to go. Especially with the line, I've got a taste of paradise. If I had it any sooner, you know I never would have run away from my home. It's no secret for anyone who's ever spoken to me, I'm a big fan of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. And the newest episodes are not just fashion and food and as they used to be, it's all personal development. This gentleman here, Wesley, used to be what we would normally say a gangbanger or a bad boy. And he went out, ended up getting shot and was paralyzed. His bridge for himself, he claims, was the transition from that depression to finding his purpose in life. When he was able to let go of what he did not have, when he was able to see what he had in his life, he was able to turn it around and created a gym for other people who were going through the same thing to help them gain their confidence. And even with that, he still had to take an extra step with, and this is one of the Queer Eye gentlemen, who helped him get in touch with the person who shot him. And they spoke. And even that bridge, once crossed, began a friendship to help other people realize what was going on. So sometimes our bridges come in traumatic ways. and we look at them, we put them down. We don't do or give thanks for those things that happen in our life. So when we go and we find these bridges, we make choices. So the first thing we need to look at is what's troubling your water today? What bridges are you waiting for? But more importantly, are you open and ready to receive it? The picture you see here is the Verrazano Bridge in New York. It links Brooklyn to Staten Island, and then as you follow through, it takes you to two other bridges that take you into New Jersey. It is one of the largest suspension bridges in the US, so you know it's a long drive across. And another thing is the toll is $19 to get across. So a lot of times when we see the bridges in front of us, we look and we say, well, wait a minute, I'm comfy right here. I don't need to go anywhere. It's all right, my misery, I'm used to it. It's just life. Well, I tell you, life is much better than that. And when we see that bridge, you ask yourself, are you saying it costs too much to cross? Are you saying it's too long, it's too much work, it's too much this? I'd rather just stay in my misery. See, me, I want to do as Jesus taught. Jesus said, I came so that you can live and live abundantly. And I want to challenge you today to do just that. To learn, to listen, be a little bit uncomfortable. When I began my journey minister, many ministers had said the same thing to me. A minister's job is to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable. And I hope to do just that a little bit today, okay? Recently, during my time of waiting for invitations and things, I decided I needed to do something, and I wanted to add. So I started my journey toward life coaching. I am certified in 2, got 2 more to go. That can wait. I'm taking care of my ordination first. But one of the things that was blessed to me through that teaching is the reason many of us don't go over that bridge. So when we look for the bridge, the first thing that happens is a discontent. There's something inside of us that says there's not enough, or there's something wrong in our life. And we look at it and we don't know, and we just let it go. Sometimes I say that spirit talking, he's knocking at your door saying there's better for you, but you're not listening. And it gets worse and worse. And then finally is the breakdown. It's when you finally break down, I like to say to myself, spirit comes by and knocks me upside my head, that I needed to do something. But that breakdown comes through. And then comes that pivotal moment, that decision, that bridge. I see it, I know it. God's giving me a path. I can see where I need to go. And I make the decision to cross the bridge. But then it happens. Your fear is triggered. And you become afraid. And you start moving in fear, like, no, okay, this is what I need to do. And you start walking. And you get to that point. But what happens at this point is you've walked across this bridge. You get halfway across. And you get amnesia. You've forgotten why. Because you've been so afraid. You've allowed fear to take over. You've allowed things to cloud your judgment as to why this was placed in front of me. You forgot why I needed to cross that bridge. And finally, you do what most people do. They backtrack. They go back. They get back to what's comfortable. They get back to what's normal. They get back to that life that really didn't do much for you in the first place. And the problem there is that when you do that, it becomes a cycle. And you start to step. And a gift is given to you again. Another path is given to you. and you start the same journey, and you forget why you're doing this, and you go back, and then you feel the discontent, and it continues to cycle. Oh, I don't know about you, but I don't want that life. I don't want that life for any of you. I don't want that life for my family. I want us to grow within this. So what I want to do today is, I borrowed a video from someone that I love his sermons, and as I was joking with my wife when she saw the video, I go, sometimes I say the thing, but sometimes you need to hear it from someone else. So I want to use unity as my example. So many of us felt a discontent. Maybe it was our old spiritual practices were not working for us. Maybe we were pushed out of it. Maybe there was many reasons why we walked away from something we knew. And we found the bridge to unity and we walked in. But we got here. We felt the love in the room. We felt the comfort. We heard the lessons. Everything's great, working nicely. And then we found out there's more bridges. Wait a minute. I already crossed the bridge. Why are there more bridges? So, over the last couple of weeks, Reverend Ogun Holder has been doing a metaphysical series. And as he says, trying to make people a little more uncomfortable. And he said two things over the last 2 weeks that I think work with exactly this. So as you've come into unity, and you're comfortable, you're loved, and you're waiting, and you see these bridges and go, nope, I'm good where I'm at. Sometimes you just need a reminder.
Today and next Sunday, that's mostly what I'm going to be talking about. Because a lot of times we come to unity because it feels good, right? The music feels good. The being with each other feels good. The God is love feels good. The we accept everyone feels good. It feels good. It resonates somewhere deep inside of us as this is the way it's supposed to be, okay? And we're happy with that, and that's a great place to be. Many of us, however, don't go much further than that. We don't go much further than that. On one level, that's okay. On one level, that's okay. But what I encounter is many folks who are in that place, but then the rest of their life on the outside, the Monday through Saturday experience, kind of looks a little all over the place. There's upheaval, there's chaos, there's a sense of not enoughness, there's I can't do this and I can't do that, and there's all this, and then we come here and we sit on Sunday because it feels good. It's like an oasis, a respite from all the craziness of our Monday through Saturday life. So my invitation for you is to know that as you step deeper and learn more about the actual metaphysical teachings of unity, that Sunday experience becomes a whole week experience. Wouldn't you like to feel good like you do on Sunday every day of the week? Absolutely you would. If you didn't say yes just now, that's okay too. I don't know why you wouldn't say yes, but that's okay. Okay? So how do you get this feel-good Sunday experience every other day of the week? You know, one of the most interesting things someone once told me was, you know, usually come on Sunday and it lasts me till about Tuesday. You know, if nothing crazy happens, I could push it till like Wednesday night, maybe Thursday morning. That's about it. And then I got to come back Sunday. No. If you really know, learn, and practice the metaphysics of unity, this Sunday morning experience, I pretty much guarantee you, it's going to be a Monday through Saturday experience as well.
So, again, you've come to unity, you're feeling good, you love coming here on Sundays, and we want you here on Sundays, but we go home and we do exactly the same thing over and over again. But now you're telling me I came to church and now I got to practice? Yes. We got to do things? Yes. Because that's why the original tagline for Unity was practical Christianity. We learn from our way shower, Jesus. We take the showings and the way he taught us and we put it into practice. And that's when we see the thing. But then again, it comes back to, well, you know, there are things that, do I really have to practice? I mean, it's really not all that and all that. We have an answer for that too.
Even feel fun. Folks, don't let your feelings of your personality get in the way of the fullness of your divinity. Let me say this again. Don't let the feelings of your personality get in the way of the fullness of your divinity. Feelings are deceptively fickle things sometimes. And I just mentioned fear. Fun's another one. If I ain't having fun, I ain't doing it. Remember that saying, only do it if it's fun? No! No. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Because here's the thing, once you do it and you practice it and you transform your life, guess what happens? It becomes fun.
How many of us have said that in our lives? So if you remember the steps that I just talked about, why we backtrack, sometimes if we're sitting here now, do we feel a little uncomfortable by what we heard? How many of us are taking responsibility because we feel what he just spoke about? When you come to Unity, there are many bridges. There's metaphysical teachings. There's learning that prosperity is more than money. There's, as I call it, relearning the Bible, because that was one of the things that brought me here, was because I saw how the Bible was used to hurt people, and I had to realize that it really did come from a place of love. But for today, at a high level, because there's a lot to learn, is the bridge of prayer. See, Charles Fillmore actually calls prayer the most accelerated mind action known. I want you to let that sink in. Prayer is the most accelerated mind action known. And the reason I want you to understand that is I was brought up in Catholicism, and we were told we pray to ask for something from outside of us. And it didn't matter how it felt, it didn't matter whatever. All we knew is I wasn't worthy, if I wasn't good, or if I was bad, or I was whatever, it did not, I may or may not receive this thing I'm asking for. And I had to relearn that. That had to be my bridge. And one of the things we need to remember is that our third principle talks about how we create our lives with our thoughts. So if we go into prayer thinking lack, I don't have health, I don't have money, I don't have this, and we just said prayer is the most accelerated mind action. Imagine what we're actually creating in our lives. We need to change that. We need to understand. Unity reminds us that thoughts held in mind produce in kind. Reverend Coleman likes to use, we are the thinkers that think the thoughts that make the thing. So when we put energy into what we don't have, that's what we produce in our lives. Reverend Coleman also has a thing, another saying. She has a few sayings that I've picked up, but I love this last one. If you do not feel the thing, you ain't got the thing. If our feeling is in lack paired with our belief, we create more of that. We must cross the bridge through challenges, challenging us to know that we, in prayer, can create and affirm what we already know is within us. So let's look at a clip from the movie Breakthrough. And if you haven't seen the movies, I will warn you, spoiler alert. But the movie itself, this one scene, you watch her go from her bridge of, I don't understand what's happening, to commanding what it is she wants at that moment.
Joyce will be right outside.
Please, take as long as you need to say goodbye.
For those, the movie is based on a true story. I was blessed with the licensing to show the movie, but regretfully runs out August 31st, and there's just so much going on. So if somebody can come up with an idea to use it before then, let's do it. But it is a powerful movie. I got a lot of unity out of it. But what you wanted to see is that as she prayed, it was, I'm asking, I'm asking, I'm asking. Her belief had to come up to the point where she said, I want it now. And a lot of times we forget in affirmative prayer, that's what we do. We already know what we are. We have our 5 principles to simplify the teachings here. And in 4, is through affirmative prayer meditation, I connect with God and bring the good into my life. See, at Unity, we do not pray to a God outside of ourselves, but rather from the awareness of oneness with that source, no matter what you call it. Denials is part of that process, and we deny the power that has in our error thinking, that we have lack, that we have no health, that we have no love, that we have no peace. We use denials to say that no longer has power over me, and we follow that up with affirmation. Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, what started this whole thing was simply, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. And in turn became a way for people to send letters, and in turn became Silent Unity, a place where you can call 24/7 and get affirmative prayer support. And you can see that prayer is not just words that we throw out hoping for something, but prayer is actually, as we said, a mind action that involves changing our consciousness, and it's built through seeing, believing, and feeling. See, Jesus in the Bible did not intend the Our Father prayer to be something we repeat. And as an old Catholic, if you've ever done the rosary, you know how many times we had to say it. But Jesus intended it as instructions. And that's something we'll leave for another lesson. That would be great. I would love to see that here. But as we move forward, we need to understand, what is that quick prayer process? When I became a prayer chaplain trainer, one of the things that I had to keep in mind, going back to that seeing and feeling, was that the most important thing we had to remember when we pray with others is, no matter the outer appearance that we see, we are to speak, we are to believe in the perfection, the wholeness, and the health of the person that we are praying with. We are not praying to ask for it. We are not praying for this person to be. We already see it healed. We see the prosperity. We see the peace in them. And our job as prayer chaplains, when we pray with them, is to help them see it within themselves. Eric Butterworth always said, it's not our job to pray it right, our job is to see it right. So when we begin the prayer, there is a set of instructions. And again, today's a high-level training. But if you really want to get into our prayer process, see one of us. There are books, there are classes, there's lots of things out there. 5 prayer practice: relaxation, releasing the physical and mental tension. Normally we go into prayer with our problems. Let them go. Or as we say, let go, let God. And once you're in that relaxed state that you know, now I'm becoming receptive, I'm open, we go into concentration. We gently focusing of the mind. This can be a word, an affirmation, a phrase. Even if it's just you visualizing a picture of perfection in your mind, we concentrate on that until we begin to feel it, to begin to know that it's already there. And when we release into meditation, we sit in the silence. This is where we begin to listen. We've all heard it, and if you haven't, here it is. There is a saying that says prayer is you talking to God, and meditation is is where we have him talk back. And we hear that small voice, and it could be intuition. It could be anything that gives you that nudge that says, hey, and we move into realization, a deep inner knowing of the truth, and that our prayers are already answered. And finally, thanksgiving, being grateful before the answer appears in the manifest realm. Before we see it physically in our world, we're already giving thanks. Even if you're not a Bible scholar and you read the Bible, you'll notice that a lot of times when Jesus performed his miracles, he gave thanks prior to the miracle. He already spoke it into existence. He knew that it was already done. especially for those that have come from a traditional background like I did, this is a time of practice. It becomes hard sometimes. There are many times even today that I tend to start falling back to the old ways. Something's not working out and my mind goes to, maybe I can pray to something outside of me to fix it. And then I know, just like the song said, I look at my Savior. Well, I realize that my Savior is me. And I know that I'm looking for the guidance from within, and I move forward. So again, anytime you start to fall back, be gentle with yourself. Stop, center, no. Begin your practice. The journey is not easy, but it definitely is worth it. So I'm giving you guys homework this week. And if you just grumbled, refer back to the video about fun. But this week, I want you to begin looking back in your life. It could have been traumatic or trivial. It could have been small or a grand gesture. But start to realize the bridges you had in your life that brought you to this place, this time, that made who you are right now. And give thanks for it. And starting today, be open. Start listening, start looking, start feeling for those bridges that are calling you now. Begin your unity prayer practice today. Take a few minutes. Doesn't take a long time. Follow the 5 steps. Or just know. And finally, call Silent Unity. Give them a call and just say, hey, I have a prayer request. Hey, I just want to celebrate something in my life that's been good right now. And listen to them pray with you. And that'll give you a feel of what the prayer process is. And I can tell you, feel it. Because there's never a time that I haven't picked up the phone and felt them, even though they're thousands of miles away. So let's remember one last Reverend Coleman saying, it works if you work it. Let me repeat that. It works if you work it. And I move in love toward all bridges that are presented to me. And today, as always, I affirm in your life, may the God of your heart forever inspire you. And if no one else has told you today, I love you. And there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Namaste.
Stray bullet in a mama cries. The baby won't be coming home tonight. Siren screaming down the avenue. Just another story on the evening news. Oh. Politics and prejudice. How the hell it ever come to this? When everybody's gotta pick a side. It don't matter if you're wrong or right, no. So it goes. But I hold on to hope and I won't let go. 'Cause I believe you and me are sisters and brothers. And I believe we're made to be here for Sometimes it takes a lot of faith to keep believing there will come a day when the tears and the sadness, the pain and the hate, the struggle, this madness will all fade away.